Namaste, Angels. This is the weekly general reading. It's going to go through, I think, the 27th of February. We're beginning with No, 29, which is about spiritual partnership, and romantic dinner. So it could be romantic spiritual partnership. Although this is the general reading, it could be business, it could be family, it could be friends. Our first die is sex. So that may go along with the romantic partnership. Also, try again. And that could be with relation to the partnership. It might be a partnership, a relationship that we had before. Something didn't work out. We're trying again. Yeah, because 29 is still here too. But I will try again. And Spirit says email. So it could be like if you weren't able to reach somebody, try again, and maybe via email is going to be the way that it works out. Maybe when you were trying the first time, Mercury hadn't yet gone direct. That happened today. Today's the 20th of February. Mercury went direct today. So maybe your communications will get better. Try your email again, or if you tried some other means before, try email now. With the cards, you're beginning with Major Arcana card 3. I almost said the Goddess Venus, which is, that's who it is, at least as far as I'm concerned. But I almost said, yeah, the Goddess Venus, not the Empress. This is a card about creativity, abundance. It's funny, things that are so random, they make sense all the time, sometime later. So earlier today, for whatever reason, I've been into Greek mythology since I was a little girl, or mythology in general, I guess. And earlier, I was reading something of the story of the goddess Themis, or Themis, depending upon how one wants to say it, who is basically the goddess of justice. And her daughter, Eritrea, I think is her name. Eritrea, I think that's her name. Whatever her name is, her daughter, that part I'm sure about, was said to have gone up to heaven and turned into the constellation Virgo. And when she went up, she was carrying the scales of justice or balance in her hands, and that became the constellation Libra. So those are two of the signs that actually Libra is, Virgo is not, a sign that's associated with Goddess Venus. I don't know why I was made to tell you that. I feel like something's trying to come out. I don't know what it is. If it comes up, I will share. So Venus also rules Taurus, not Virgo, Taurus, and Gemini. Behind the Empress, we have the Knight of Wands in reverse. And here we have I was feeling the Virgo energy. Here we have it with the Hermit. That's interesting. This could be talking about a mother energy. We do have the asteroid Ceres, which is believed to be, mother energy, and particularly Amaterasu in Japanese culture, and Demeter in Greek culture. She, or Ceres, enters Aries this week. So a fellow asteroid, Chiron, the wounded healer, is also in Aries and has been for a long time. So I guess we'll have maybe a masculine and feminine dynamic in the element of fire. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. So that can be why that's showing up there like that. I'm going to just put these in here, the ones that we looked at and talked about briefly. Maybe this one too. It's funny, I didn't talk about that one, but since it was exposed, I decided to throw it away, and look what happens. Now the Page of Pentacles is revealed. So it's more of this sort of Virgo energy. Like something was trying to come out about Virgo, obviously. So there we have the Page of Pentacles, a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. And a lot of Pentacles energy otherwise coming out also. Got the 5 and 7 here in my hand. Here is Major Arcana card Justice, which also represents the planet Venus, the goddess Venus, and the sign of Libra. Five of Wands, could be competition, someone feeling conflicted about something, or it could be actual conflict with others. Maybe especially close friends and or family, like people you care about. We have the Magician here, the Page of Cups. Page of Cups, maybe a Pisces. Pisces season began yesterday, the 19th. Could also be a Cancer or Scorpio, someone liking to those traits or attributes, somebody making some sort of offer. And the Eight of Wands becomes our new overall energy. It's often about delayed messages. And the Page of Wands, which is behind it, can often be about finishing something we started a long time ago. So that may be why this is showing up like as if it's about delay. Like something, maybe we receive a message and that sort of directs us, inspires us, motivates us to pick up this thing from the past. Or something like that. The Page of Wands is also potentially an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. Behind it, we have the Devil. Somebody may have started a divorce proceeding a long time ago and never completed it. You know, it's like those papers or to break away from something that you know you have no business with, or someone you know you have no business with or attached to. You may have started that process a long time ago, but you never actually did it. Never actually follow through, committed to cutting them off or that thing off or something, separating yourself somehow from something or someone. And the Devil shows up here, represents the sign of Capricorn most directly. We also have Death. It's like, listen, end whatever this is. Death most directly represents the sign of Scorpio. And the next card is the Moon. There is a full moon. Oh, that's the Virgo. That's the Virgo. I was going to say there's a full moon this week. It's a full moon in Virgo on the 27th. Isn't that insane? It completely had slipped my memory. All right, anyway, we're going to pull some cards from these. Lately, I've been guided to look into health, like physical and spiritual health, and people have been getting, like contacting me and telling me how much they appreciate that. So I'm going to do that again. Yeah, I'm happy to do it. I'm glad you find it helpful. The first card will, however, represent us in general, most directly, over the course of the next week. And it is that Page of Pentacles, now in reverse. Surrounding energy, close friends, family members, co-workers. Three of Swords. Maybe that, again, is with whom we had some sort of falling out, a fight. That Five of Wands that showed up. Work and finance. Judgment. Okay. Something could be coming in. Something that we earned, of which we're deserving. Some sort of raise, promotion, or recognition that can maybe lead to something later. You get recognized, or people appreciate you, and then they say, let's pay them what they're worth, or something like that. That comes afterwards. Love and relationship. Temperance in reverse. This too can be about making up with somebody, negotiations, collaborations, compromises, looking past our differences. That's temperance. So the physical health. King of Cups in reverse. Too bad these two hadn't switched, right? He would have been better for love. And lastly, spiritual health. Seven of Pentacles. Okay. Not bad. Not there. And so, starting with the Eight of Wands in reverse, our overall energy. In some ways, it can also be like the Eight of Wands upright, in that both can be about a need for patience, because it can often indicate that we don't see anything happening. Like it looks like nothing's happening on our end. Truth is, behind the scenes, all kinds of things are happening, like really rapidly. And we're going to, you know, turn around one day and it's going to be like, boom. And we're going to be like, when did this happen? Maybe I'm not ready. But right now, we're looking for things to be moving and they don't seem to be. And so that can be the case, whether it's upright or in reverse. And it's just a reminder that some things in life can't be forced, can't be rushed, can't be hurried, and we just got to chill, right? But at the same time, we got to look at how we are using our energy in the meantime, because that is, you know, again, that's limited. We might look up and one day we might need all the energy and we wasted it. We blew our wad, you know, on anxiety and foolishness, rather than like making a plan when we had an opportunity. So it helps, or can help, to ask yourself, like, is it just that is it just that I'm tired of waiting, or am I also like moving forward as best as I can, even without all the information and all that stuff? And then, you know, you would answer yourself and decide what your next move is supposed to be. Also, it can be about feeling guilty. If anybody out there is feeling guilty, when we do see the Three of Swords is here, somebody may cause somebody else disappointment. Maybe we are on the end of the causing, and we cause a close friend, family member, romantic partner, co-worker, some sort of disappointment or hurt or pain. Maybe that could be it as well. It's like nothing can be changed about the past. This is another reminder that it brings with regard to the guilt. So the only thing that guilt can sort of cause that's positive is maybe a change in your behavior in the future, you know? So the best thing usually to do is to just like forgive yourself. But at the same time, this thing is sitting in your conscious for a reason, so don't ignore it. It may be moving you to make some sort of apology, or just to face a situation, you know, head on in some way, or, you know, make it up to yourself or to whomever else is involved. You decide. But these are the meanings, messages that the card comes with. So from there, I'll move on to the Page of Pentacles in reverse. And this can be about focus. And I guess they can tie together, right? Maybe if you're feeling guilty, or feeling bad, or you're feeling impatient, your mind may be all over the place, right? So that's a problem with focus. Very easily distracted is the Page of Pentacles in reverse. And it's really about doing your best to sort of, you know, keep your mind on one thing at a time, or do one thing at a time. Put your energy, again, where it needs to be. Don't waste your very limited resource of energy. I didn't know why I was saying that before. Like, it's limited, your energy. I'm like, I was saying it, but I'm like, where the hell did that come from? I guess that's what it was for. Also, it can mean that we have to sort of put effort, work harder to keep ourselves focused, put effort into not like going off on a tangent or, you know, random, like I often do. It's just funny. Or it can also mean that we might need to like give ourselves a break from our usual routine if you can. I mean, Pentacles are often about like things like money and stuff. So maybe you know, your work is keeping you busy and you can't, but if you're able to, you know, take a break, a long weekend, a nap, something to help you to feel renewed, refreshed, maybe get a massage. I don't know where one can do that. I was going to say maybe in the warm areas, but even the warm areas haven't been so warm lately, at least not here in the United States. So yeah, prayers out to those who are experiencing hardship from in like Texas and stuff. All of my first cousins are there. It's weird. I don't really have any first cousins on my mother's side. no, I don't have any first cousins on my mother's side, but my father came from a big family, so I have a bunch. And for whatever reason, they all left. Like, my father's side of his family's from like uptown New York, you know, so Harlem, the Bronx, White Plains, Throgs Neck, you know, all those areas, Mount Vernon, all of that stuff. Like, we cover all those areas. And for whatever reason, a bunch of them picked up, and so I guess in some cases with their kids too, picked up and moved to Texas. So they're all there. But I'm here, and my sister's in Charlotte. Anyway, one of my cousins, she's a nurse, and I know she spent like a lot of last week in terms of living and sleeping either at the hospital or a hotel. Like, she couldn't go back into her own home and stuff. So I know a lot of people out there are dealing with hardship, and, you know, thoughts and prayers are a meme, and, you know, we do make a joke out of it, because there were you know, just over years of people sending thoughts and prayers to some of us, you know, who've experienced hardship ourselves, and we could tell the people that they were disingenuous. They didn't really care. They didn't really send support. Like, I'm from New York, so we've had hurricanes and 9/11 and stuff, and, you know, people are like, yeah, we're sending thoughts and prayers, but they don't want to send any FEMA money and stuff like that. But when I say our thoughts and prayers are with you, I hope you do trust that that is like for like real thoughts and real prayers. Anyway, I was talking about the Page of Pentacles, right? When I went off on that tangent. Yes, so that's what the Page of Pentacles does. Goes off on tangents. Yeah, you may need to recharge, I think was what I was wanting to say. And perhaps, again, it's tied to this disappointment or pain or hurt that is potentially showing up here with the Three of Swords. And it's important to realize with this card that even if like disappointment or pain or whatever, hurt, like I said, is going to come, heartbreak or something like that, usually with this card, particularly in reverse, it's attached to like a really deep, and like profound lesson or healing, and almost basically like guarantees better days and times to come. You know, it's followed by this. So yes, we're experiencing something that makes us maybe not so happy, but it's coming, you know, it's opening the door for something so much better. And the Three of Swords in reverse is usually about disappointment. So no need to become overly afraid about this card. Doesn't necessarily mean something major or life-shattering is going to happen. Three of Swords in reverse, definitely not as strong in energy as the Three of Swords upright. It's just as like something that you maybe hoped would happen or come through. You were trying to manifest or something, doesn't happen in the way you would have hoped, or it doesn't happen at all. And, you know, so there's disappointment. Or we could, like I said, cause somebody else disappointment, because this is a card of surrounding energy. So it's involving our close friends, family members, co-workers. Sometimes it could be our energy as well. But we may be the ones who are, yeah, the cause of the disappointment in this case, potentially. Judgment, however, would be about us in terms of our work and finance. And this is a card. So I'm going to take you back to this one. Like I said, this one may mean you're having trouble focusing and paying attention and, you know, keeping your mind on what you're supposed to be doing. You don't want to do that in connection to your work when judgment is showing up here in the placement of work and finance, because this card means that you are being watched, right? Like your efforts are being watched, people are paying attention. And so it's really an important time to put extra effort and attention to detail and all of that into your work, because people are, you know, they're paying attention, and they're not necessarily watching for negative reasons. They can be watching for positive reasons. You know, like when you play sports and stuff, and the colleges come to watch you and everything. That day, you want to make sure you play really well. You know, if a recruiter's coming, maybe when they're not there, you can afford to mess up, and then those are the days you do extra well, right? And then when the recruiter's there, maybe you don't. So you want to avoid something like that happening because you weren't really in the game, because you weren't really focused. So that's what it's about, right? That's what the extra attention to detail and stuff. If you have been slacking off prior, it shows up to say, like, get with the program, okay, before any, you know, damage is done at your job or to your career, your reputation, or something like that. In terms of finances specifically, some money or contracts or something could really be headed your way right now, or combinations of those, right? Contracts that are like big money contracts. Maybe something attached to sports. I don't know why I just mentioned sports. Maybe some of you play sports, and yeah, something's coming your way. In whatever your job, or however you earn your income. Maybe you don't have a job. Maybe you work for yourself. You know, you own your own company. Whatever. Something coming your way is what this is saying. It's one of my favorite cards, as those of you who watch me often know, because it's about abundance that it's earned, right? We're getting these blessings from the universe because we deserve it. The universe is rewarding us. God is rewarding us, you know, depending upon what one believes. Universe, God, same thing to me. Yeah, so great card. What else I want to tell you about it? It's about like a positive uptick too, you know. So maybe if things hadn't necessarily been going your way before, they will be now. But it also comes with some warnings in terms of things like, you know, things you can get like little tickets for and stuff, like speeding, or just be careful of like laws, like not violating any laws or anything that could end up with some sort of like summons or ticket, something that would cost you a fine. All right, avoid stuff like that. Moving on to Temperance and love and relationship. So when this card comes, like I said, it can be about mending a relationship. So that's positive, especially if we caused hurt in one here. Temperance can be about us looking past those differences and deciding we want to negotiate and compromise and work something out, you know, so we can move forward. But it can also, or the more traditional tarot meaning of Temperance in reverse in the love position is about balance in our relationship, and like maybe us feeling like we've been giving 100%, 200%, 300%, you know, to the relationship, and the other person, a friend, a family member, or maybe our romantic interest in this case, right, it is in the position of love, is not giving the same thing. They may feel the same way about us, like they're doing and doing and doing, and we ain't doing shit, you know. But that's what the card is about, and trying to, you know, get past that. It guides you to have a conversation, and to communicate honestly, to try to figure out, you know, if one of us is maybe trying too hard and therefore pushing people away. It can be something like that too, which is very common in this, you know, like twin flame or spiritual relationship sort of dynamic, is that runner chaser aspect of it. And, you know, you chase after somebody. It might not be your normal nature. It might not be something you would do any other time. But this one person, you put it on way too thick, right? One person, two people. You could have a couple. A couple of people that feel like soulmates, right? That sometimes they call them a false one, and they're in the real one, and all this kind of stuff, right? In any case, you put it on too heavy and push people away. That can be a potential other meaning. So it's about like being secure in yourself as an individual, and not looking for somebody to complete you, and you know, not scaring off your love interests. On that note, speaking of love interests, one of the most romantic cards in the deck shows up in the position of health. Weird. That would be, of course, the King of Cups. He is, again, a Pisces, potentially. He just entered Pisces season, or just began. Cancer or Scorpio, or someone like into those traits or attributes. When the page of Cups, the King of Cups, Jesus, is in reverse, in the position of health. He is saying, if you are under a doctor's care, this reminds you to trust the doctor. Trust those healers that are in our lives because they're there for a reason. And it does guide us to, contrary to many of our beliefs, if you're watching me, you probably are into spiritual healing, holistic healing, and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't suggest that you not do it. But for like serious conditions, it does warn against alternative healing, especially if you already have a diagnosis of one and are under the care of a physician. So let's say, for example, you have cancer. Steve Jobs had cancer. Let's go with that. And he was into holistic. He was vegan, and his doctors were telling him that he needed certain vitamins that couldn't be found in these animals. And he said, I'm vegan, I'm going to do it this way. And of course, that was an unsuccessful way of fighting his cancer. By the time he said, all right, I feel horrible, give me the shot, give me the whatever you want to give me, they said it's too late for this kind of treatment. And he consequently passed away. We could say maybe he would have passed away anyway. And that might be true. But the idea is a doctor giving you guidance about a serious condition, having a way of healing you. This card showing up says that if that's you, to whom I'm speaking, this week at least, you are guided to pay attention to that doctor and to follow that doctor's guidance. That's not to say that if you're just newly being diagnosed, don't get a second opinion or something like that. But again, get a second opinion from another doctor. And last but not least, the Seven of Pentacles in terms of spirituality shows up to say that this week we're probably going to really be thinking about and maybe even be sort of focused on it in one way or another. The fact that life is about cycles, right? And sort of like what goes around comes around. That I'm sure many of us learned, growing up and stuff like that. Remember that when, this is a positive part, when you are charitable, generous is the word I was looking for. Whether that's with your money or your energy or your time or whatever, even those things are like an investment in ourselves, and maybe a future time, like paying it forward. So similar to the Six of Pentacles that precedes it, this card reminds us that if we are blessed, that part of the reason we are blessed is so that we may be a blessing. So if you have something to share, to give, whatever, you are guided to. And if you have in the past, know that that builds up in sort of like a karma bank. And one day will pay off for you because, again, what goes around comes around. Life is cyclical. So the cycle will come back around to you at some point too. So this week, in terms of the additional cards and clarifiers, I should have shuffled these first. Last week I was smart. I shuffled all the cards first and then I did the reading. I took out the Ascended Master deck because it has a card for Amaterasu in here. And I had thought about her, again, with the Libra, Venus, Themis, and Virgo constellation thing I shared before. I had thought about Amaterasu and Demeter earlier. So I said, you know what, let me use those cards. And I also was moved to pull out my Goddess cards. And I shuffled them up and ended up with Maeve on the top, is the card with which we're going to begin. And this was not only like, a goddess in terms of mythology, but is believed to have been a real queen that lived somewhere around 50 or 60 BC, I think. Like a real badass, like warrior queen. But I was also like really drawn to the ox on the front. Of course, this is the year of the metal ox. She's got her sword, so she's kind of like a Queen of Swords, like a, metal ox. And then we have the full moon here. Again, there is a full moon this week in Virgo. So I thought that was really interesting. All right, so let's shuffle since I failed to do it. We have Hecate and Crossroads. This is kind of like a death for me. And she has Cerberus with her, which is the three-headed dog that guards Hades. Bridget, I think, is also an Irish goddess, if I remember correctly. Mavis, did I mention that? I think so. I think Bridget is as well. Very fire element, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Oh yeah, all about change. I'll do one more. It is Pele, Awakening. So this is from where I'll get some advice afterward for each archetype. And I will actually read these from the book so we can get the full meaning. New overall energy is Corn Woman and Nourishment. This is still like a very Virgo, Venus, mother kind of energy that's showing up here. My aunt was behind it, Injustice. Isn't that funny? Okay, so that's those. Now these, we're starting with Spiritual Law of Attraction. So it's like a magician. Teacher is like the Hermit, which is very, again, Virgo. Energy Healing. Go now. So that was Merlin with the energy healing. That's also very manifestation and Gemini. Twin Flame. I just talked about those too. Angus turned himself into a swan. Speaking of mythology and me knowing all these stories, turned himself into a swan so he could be with the woman he loved. Because she turned into a swan. Or allowed himself to be turned into a swan. And Fertility in Pan. Very nice. So move these back closer. And the card that will most directly represent us this week, it's another green one. It's called Trust Vishnu. All right, joining the Page of Pentacles. Oh boy. With the Three of Swords, Peace Offering, and White Buffalo Calf Woman. So, although in my readings, this doesn't have to be about death, and with the Three of Swords being in reverse, if it was about death, I'd say not of like a person, or if it was a person, not of anybody like close to you, but maybe more like a pet, which is still very sad. I mean, the last time I actually saw death for pets, and so many people lost them, and it was very, very sad. But in connection with the cards, again, I think it's about disappointment, having disappointed somebody, and maybe a way to make amends for that is through some sort of peace offering. That said, those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, whenever I pull this card, whenever I even like see this card from shuffling and it pops up or whatever, people die in real life. It's usually like celebrities, if no one else. But sometimes I'll also say, oh yeah, I see uncles and aunts or whatever. I see this sex, I see men, I see women, whatever. So I'm not going to do that this time because, like I said, I don't think that's what's meant, at least not for the most part. Of course, people pass every day. This is like notable passing. It's like, oh my goodness, like you were right, because, you know, a number of people will pass. Judgment. Very nice. Retreat into nature and the Green Man. The Green Man is you know, a card of abundance and earnings. So that goes very well with Judgment in our work and finance sector. Love and relationship. Work your magic. Joining Temperance. Like I said, Temperance is about, you know, negotiation and fixing it. So work your magic, maybe again, in terms of making a peace offering and making amends, making an impression. Could be how you're working your magic. Or it can be in terms of like the law of attraction. You know, working that magic, doing what you need to do, like making the focused intention on that healthy relationship that you want and drawing it close to you, pulling your soulmate in. Your physical health, we have stay focused, which I think is awesome because, again, that is what's going to be off this week. That's what's expected to be off this week, at least according to the cards in our physical health. That's why we started out with the Page of Pentacles in reverse, because we're going to be all over the place this week, according to that card. So stay focused if you want to remain on top of your game. And last but not least, with the Seven of Pentacles, we have persistence. Very, very nice. And then further advice to everyone. That overall energy of fertility, too, I think goes well with this Judgment, by the way. In terms of creativity and abundance and earnings and all that. Masculine is getting Oya. I'm like, Oya? Didn't I just see that? Okay, she ended up on the top. And also Third Wind, death and rebirth for the feminine. So keep my promise and read these two from the book. I opened to Ocean. I keep passing by Oya. Oya, okay. Masculine, this is for you. Change. I work in ways deep, ever present, always moving. I work in ways dramatic, with thunder and lightning, sweeping and uprooting. I work in ways subtle, pushing and prodding, wearing and tearing. I swirl you and twirl you. I splatter you and scatter you. I shock you and rock you. I clear the way for what is to come. I can be slight or stupendous, brief or long-lasting, uprising or uproaring. What I can be, what I can't be rather, sorry, is ignored. So this is something you will notice, something in your life you will notice. Something's trying to get your attention. Mythology. In Africa, Oya is the Yoruban goddess of weather. So I did all that talking about Texas and I went off on a tangent. It could be attached to that. Especially tornadoes, lightning, destructive rainstorms, fire, female leadership, persuasive charm, and transformation. She is also one of the most powerful Brazilian Macumba deities. When women find themselves in hard-to-resolve conflicts, she is the one to call on for protection. Wearing wine, her favorite color. So this is the wine. It's like a purple. We talked about, which we've been talking a lot about purple lately. And exhibiting 9 whirlwinds. 9 being her sacred number. She is depicted here with a turban twisted to appear like buffalo horns. Ox, maybe? More ox, more year of the ox. Well, I definitely have to talk to you guys about the year of the ox in more detail. See what comes up for us all, right? So she's wearing buffalo horns, for it's said that she assumed the shape of a buffalo when wedded to Ogun. White buffalo calf woman. I just got some sort of inclination that I can't even talk. That it's like there's a reason why the two of them popped up here. Oya storms into your life to tell you that change is calling, beckoning, and camping out on your doorstep. The way to wholeness for you lies in embracing change. Have you been too busy, too stressed to attend to the changes needed in your life, to nurture yourself? Is change so fearful a concept that you push it aside and play hide and seek with it, or just ignore it? Have you arranged your life so perfectly that there's no room left for potential time to change? Time to sweep out, sweep up, and be swept away? Perhaps you are in the midst of change, like menopause or something. That's what it says here. That's not me. And are having trouble accepting it. Resistance to change brings more persistent change. Choosing to dance with change means you will flow with it. Yet let yourself be unsettled. Prepare yourself for growth. Enter deeply into change's chaotic dance, and you'll be richly blessed with abundant possibility. It's time for something completely different. Oya says that the earth must be dug up before anything can be planted, and that change always brings you what you need on your path to wholeness. And for those who identify as a feminine archetype, we have Ceridwen, death and rebirth. I give you life. I give you death. It is all one. You travel the spiral path, the eternal path. That is existence, ever becoming, ever growing, ever changing. Nothing dies that is not reborn. Nothing is born that does not die. When you come to me, I welcome you home. Then I take you into my womb, my cauldron of transformation, where you are stirred and sifted, blended and boiled, melted and mashed, reconstituted, then recycled. You always come back to me. You always go forth renewed. Remember what I said about the Three of Swords in reverse? I said it's always going to be about being renewed, even if it is about pain, hurt, loss, disappointment, whatever. It's coming with something else about renewal as well. Death and rebirth are but points of transition along the eternal path. And that could be connected to, unfortunately, the storms and stuff too. And, you know, people who do die, we don't necessarily know who they are. We won't, you know, it could be strangers that we hear about on the news that this is speaking to. But the other message for us, mythology. To the Welsh, Ceridwen, pronounced, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's pronounced Ceridwen, is a triple goddess, maid, mother, and crone, whose totem animal is the great white sow. She is associated with the moon, inspiration, poetry, prophecy, shape-shifting, and life and death. She had two boys. One was beautiful and one was ugly. Because she wanted the ugly one to have something of his own, she made a magical brew. The brew took a year and a day to complete and would make him inspired and brilliant. She set Gwion, her assistant, to watch the brew and bade him not to drink it. Accidentally, some drops of the brew splashed onto his hand, and he put his hand in his mouth. Instantly, he knew everything, including the fact that Ceridwen would seek his death. He ran away, and she ran after him. After many shape-shiftings, he was swallowed by her, who gave birth to him again 9 months later. The meaning of the card. Her appearance in your life heralds a time of death and rebirth. Something is dying and needs to be let go of, so something new can be born. We know the earth's dance with death and rebirth as the seasons. Matter cannot be created or destroyed, but undergoes transformation. So do we. To live fully and in wholeness, we need to accept life in all that it is, which includes death and rebirth. Let go of what does not serve you and your wholeness. Perhaps you've reached the end of a cycle, a relationship, a job, and you fear letting it go, or feel that you are dying when only a piece of you needs to give way to the new. Perhaps the new idea that there is death and only death is too painful for you to accept. Living in a patriarchal culture has deprived most of us of the goddess's way of death and rebirth. Wholeness is nurtured when we become conscious that every step of the path of life is also a step toward death and rebirth. Wholeness is achieved when we can say yes and do our dance with death and rebirth. Karen says that you will always get back what you give to me. It will be changed. It will be transformed, but you will get it back. Hope you guys have enjoyed the weekly reading. I will be back with the weekly, I don't know why I can't talk today, love reading. The weekly love reading. Oh, and then we're going to have to do one for the moon as well this week. Please do like, share, subscribe, and comment. I appreciate it. Namaste.